In this video, I'm going to walk you through how I begin the process of both discovering and ultimately validating whether or not a problem is worth solving, plus creating all of the resources from the research that's intended to be the foundation of trying to turn what would be my SaaS product into a successful business. If you don't know me, my name is Sean Boyce, and I've spent years building SaaS businesses as a bootstrapped solo founder. My goal is to help you be successful in doing the same. So this video is expected to be the first of many, as I'm planning to take a build in public approach with you as I try to turn these problems we're solving into a successful SaaS business. Now, to reiterate, what I'm planning to tackle with this SaaS business is challenges in the legal services space. That's where the context has come from so far. I'm going to share more about that with you here in a moment. But the problem in question is related to billing challenges that they have. So as a legal services need to turn around invoices and things like it, I'm intending to try to look for a particular problem we're solving in and around that space and potentially build a better solution around that. I've already got some context for it, so I'm going to share more. Now, if you want to stay engaged, because I'm going to be producing videos along the way here as I'm taking my step-by-step process, trying to go from discovering problems worth solving all the way to and through first version of the product, active users, and potentially scaling and all that kind of good stuff. Subscribe so that you don't miss anything, and please feel free to comment as well too, because that would be a great way to remain engaged. So if you have questions, feedback, even if you have other ideas about how to do some of the stuff, love to hear from you when it comes to that. Also, and along the way, I'm going to be turning what I'm doing here into free resources for you. So any of the inputs or outputs that I'm using that I'm going to be showing you as well too via screen share while I'm building this and creating these videos, I'm going to be providing you with links to that in my community, as well as I'm going to give you more general templates that you can use for your own SaaS projects. So just to give you some background, I've already had one interview with the owner of a law firm, and that's where this potential idea came from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take what I think I know thus far from the tools with which I've recorded everything, and then I'm going to interact with AI to kind of workshop the idea a little bit better and kind of round it out a little bit. Then with that, I'm going to take it and I'm going to use AI again even further because I'm going to go deeper with the research. And that is an effort for me to do a little bit more of the problem space kind of validation. It's me trying to get closer to better understanding whether or not this is a problem we're solving. So let's take a look. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to mention is when you're doing your interviews with potential prospects or while you're researching for problems potentially worth solving across whatever industry, definitely use an AI note taker. And the one that I recommend is Fathom. I've been using that for a while. I'm on their first entry level kind of paid tier, but I think they have a free tier as well too. So it shouldn't really cost you anything as well. And you can integrate with however you want to meet with people and using those technologies and all that kind of stuff. But it does a fantastic job of not just summarizing your notes, but keeping track of a transcript. And that's what I'm going to use them as my source in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm here you can see I've got Fathom up. This is the call recording from the interview that I had with the owner of that law firm. I'm going to take the transcript from Fathom and then I'm going to input that into Claude as I'm workshopping this idea a little bit further and trying to answer some questions. So in order to do that, all you got to do is come over here and just click copy transcript from the call that you had. Now you've got that copy to the clipboard and you can go take that over to AI, do quite a bit more with it. Okay, so I've copied the transcript out of Fathom and I pasted it directly into a new chat with Claude. And I'm using the model Opus 4.5. In there, I've also given it context for what I would like its help with. So as you can see from my prompt here, and again, I'm going to share all these resources with you so you don't have to try to pull this out. All that stuff's going to be free and I'm going to provide you with a link at the end of the video as well as in the description. But in here, basically what I've described for Claude is what it is that I'm doing, right? I am looking to research potentially creating a new product idea around SaaS as a solution, and I want to workshop it a bit further. And I've also included not just the transcript, but I've also told it what I'm expecting its help with as I'm looking to workshop this a bit further to try to get some answers and some context around some categories. And what you can see here is that includes extracting the context from the problem, better understanding the problem, which I refer to often as the pain. That's going to come in later as we talk more about workshopping all of this into a landing page. I'll explain that further later. How they are currently trying to solve that problem today. I often refer to that as the existing solution. How well it works, because the worse their current solution is, the more of an opportunity you have to probably motivate them to solve their problem in ideally a better way, which we're thinking will be your solution. So all this stuff is part of the process of validating whether or not it's a problem we're solving. And then in addition to that, how we'd like it to work, how they would like it to work. This is in from their perspective. So in this case, the owner of the law firm, right? What is their vision for if I could just snap my fingers and get the perfect solution? What does that look like? As well as how we might wire it all up. Basically, the beginning of the solution design phase. We don't need to solve all those technical problems right now, but I want to talk through it a little bit because I believe I did when I had this conversation with the owner of that law firm. So we go ahead and fire this off, and then we'll take a look at the results. Okay, AI only took a couple of seconds to come back with all the context that I was looking for, so let's review it together. But first, just to reiterate, the problem that we're looking to help with law firms and lawyers in solving is related to billing and typically how their business model works, which is essentially whatever it is they need to do for you in offering their legal services, they need to track their time in terms of how much time it's taken them to complete those tasks for you. The problem in this context is that no one likes doing that. It's painful, it's time consuming, it's slow. It prevents them from being able to do other legal work, but it's critically important to their business model because that's usually how they charge. So, thought process here is can we come up with a better solution for them around this annoying, time consuming, and painful problem? Okay, so let's see what we see here. Number one, gives me good context and framing around the problem. Also, I've changed the name in this case to Bob the Lawyer, and that's what I'm just going to use as my persona in this case. So you can see it's got some like personal details and things like that, and that will continue to evolve as I get more context related to the problem. I usually switch to a persona at this case as well, because what I'm looking for are patterns around other owners of law firms, other lawyers who have the same problems, those types of things. So the personal information is not necessarily all that relevant anymore. Okay, so how are they trying to solve this problem today? Oh, wait, let's go back because yeah, so in the problem context here, it has the primary pain, secondary pain, and even more context as well. This is really good stuff. Again, don't worry about necessarily reading this in real time. I'm going to document all this so you can see it in those links. But primary pain point is, and I love these quotes, throwing money out the window. That and the secondary pain point, which says he hates time tracking, right? These are strong emotions that we're already seeing from the context that I provided and its interpretation of such, which I would agree that's largely how I interpret it when I think I was hearing it in that conversation as well too. But these are all good signs that we're getting closer to a pretty painful problem, as well as some pretty strong emotional motivators to go look for a better solution or try one because this problem is such a pain. How they're trying to solve it today, again, I refer to this as the existing solution. This is likely where you're going to find your real competition, right? This is what you got to be better than when you're building your SaaS is how are they doing it today and why is ours better? And in here, it even says that they're not, which is interesting. They are, it's just they really don't have a good way to do it, right? And that's part of what this says as well, too. How well does it work? It doesn't. And it was openly honest about that, doesn't like to be involved, but when involved, it's painful regardless. So again, all of it is aiding us in where we're going so far. How do you want it to work instead? I refer to this as the dream scenario. So I want to try to help them understand what the big picture vision is for how they want it to work. And this is going to come in later when we're workshopping our landing page. Great context here, right? They want to be more passive. They want it to be more automated, all kinds of good stuff. And we can use that to workshop language in our landing page and then motivate folks to sign up, learn more, ultimately try it, pay for it, all that kind of good stuff. How we might wire it up technically. Now, we don't need really get into a ton of the details yet, but I like to start early on because I like to do a technical viability test, right? We don't ship magic. It might look like magic to some of our users, but we can't leverage magic as close as AI seems to be these days. It still needs to work technically, it needs to work consistently, all that kind of stuff. So while I don't go terribly deep in building any of my technical products before I've done all this validation, I will have an idea about how I'm thinking of solving it and maybe doing some technical viability tests earlier on just to make sure I'm not selling magic, right? If I, sell a magic solution, sure, I may be able to get people to sign up for that, but if I can't actually build it, it doesn't really matter. So I need to be able to build something. And I like the context that it's gathering here. It's starting to give me roadmap elements and thinking through how it may work technically so I can better understand that and validate it, as well as what the early version one might look like so that I can start to get this into users' hands as soon as possible and cut down the time it's going to take to build. In addition to that, I've even got pipeline elements. I've got some key technical challenges identified, and it's given me additional quick validation questions to explore further as well too. And that's the next step in the process. We want to take the context we feel like we've learned here, and we want to do more research on it to kind of learn more about how widespread this problem may be. So everything here looks good so far, but what I want to do is I want to take this further. I want to better understand how widespread the problem might be, because that aids us in better understanding how validated this may be as a potential problem worth solving. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Next step in the process is to go deeper with the problem research and validating it in terms of its ability to turn into a successful SaaS business. And as promised, I've created a bunch of free resources for you, which is not just documenting the progress I'm making with this potential project, but also more general templates so that you can apply them to your projects as well too. Click the link in the description to gain access to them. Again, they're free. If you sign up, you'll get notifications not just about those, but as I'm making additional progress along the way, you'll get updates when that stuff drops as well too. And if you got value out of this content, please subscribe to stay tuned and see updates along the way, and like and comment to engage and provide any feedback you have.